In the heart of Greenfield, two families stood worlds apart. The Cabanas, wealthy, powerful, untouchable. Their mansion stood tall, a palace of gold and influence. And then, the Davids, humble, hard-working, struggling to survive. But fate would soon bind them in a story of love, betrayal, and tragedy. The Cabanas, Biko, a ruthless businessman with deep political ties, and his presence commanded respect and fear. His wife, Rita, who was elegant yet equally cunning, their arrogant son, Ryan, and their beloved daughter, Natasha, was the most influential family in town. With deep political connections and vast landholdings, they controlled everything, from businesses to local governance. Their influence stretched far and wide, and with their power they controlled not only businesses, but also the fate of many. On the other side of town, struggling in the shadows of the Cabana's empire, lived David and his wife Emmy. Hard-working but poor, they labored endlessly on the Cabana's homes and vast farms, earning meager wages, sometimes none at all. Their children, Jeff and Maria, grew up understanding struggle but also valuing kindness and love. David's sometimes worked as Cabana's driver and washed vehicles. His wife Emmy worked in the flower gardens. His son Jeff swept and cleaned the driveways, and his daughter Maria mopped and cleaned the mansion. Despite their elegant lifestyle and influence, Natasha, the light of her family, remained cheerful and kind. She had a rare friendship with Maria, the poor man's daughter. The two girls, though from vastly different worlds, shared secrets, laughter, and a friendship that defied societal norms. Maria often visited the Cabana's mansion, sneaking away from her chores just to be with Natasha. Though the rich parents disapproved of their daughter's friendship with a poor girl, Natasha ignored them. To her, Maria was more than a friend. She was a sister she never had. They dined, shopped, visited parks, and went to clubs to drink and dance together. They laughed, dreamed, and built a bond stronger than gold. But little did they know, their time together was running out and fate had other plans. One day, Natasha fell severely ill. Doctors diagnosed her with a rare heart condition and declared that she needed an urgent transplant to survive. Biko, a man accustomed to bending the law to his will, was desperate to save his daughter. And when a doctor mentioned that finding a donor would be a challenge, Biko made a sinister decision. Maria, the poor man's daughter, would be the sacrifice. Maria visited her friend Natasha in hospital to comfort her, not knowing that Biko had wicked plans about her life. Power corrupts, greed destroys, and Biko was willing to sacrifice the innocent to save his own. He did what only a man of power could do. He made a call, a decision was made, a life would be taken. Biko's hired men, shadowy figures who worked in the underbelly of crime, carried out their master's orders. Maria was abducted as she walked home from Natasha's mansion after a visit. She didn't even have time to scream before she was thrown into a van, bound and driven into the darkness. Hours later, Maria was no more. Her young, innocent heart now beat inside Natasha's chest. David's family searched frantically for Maria, reporting her missing to the authorities. But in a town controlled by Biko, justice was a foreign concept. Days turned into weeks, and Maria was presumed dead, but her body was never found. The poor family mourned in silence while the Cabanas celebrated Natasha's miraculous recovery. But the dead do not rest quietly when taken unjustly. As Natasha's body healed, her mind and soul did not. She felt different, troubled, uneasy, as if something within her was crying out. Her joy over her recovery was overshadowed by a deep sadness she could not explain. Maria's disappearance haunted her, a dark cloud hanging over her every waking moment. Then one evening, Natasha overheard a hushed conversation between her parents. The words struck her like a dagger to the heart. "She was just a poor girl. Nobody would miss her," Biko said coldly. "She was her best friend," Rita hissed. What matters is that our daughter is alive, Biko said, his voice unwavering. Natasha's world shattered. The heart keeping her alive belonged to Maria. Her best friend had been murdered so she could live. Guilt consumed her. She could feel Maria inside her heart beating in her chest, a heart that was never meant for her. The burden was unbearable. Natasha spiraled into depression, shutting herself away from the world. The mansion that once echoed with her laughter became silent. And then, one night, unable to live with the weight of the crime that had been committed in her name, Natasha ended her own life. Her death sent shockwaves through Greenfield. The town grieved the loss of the girl who had been kind despite her wealth. Many people attended her funeral service, but whispers of the truth began to spread. Authorities reopened Maria's case, and with increasing pressure from the public, an independent investigation was launched. The horrifying truth surfaced. Biko's direct involvement in Maria's murder was exposed. The town turned against him. His political allies distanced themselves, and his empire crumbled overnight. The trial was swift and unforgiving. Biko was sentenced to death for murder, conspiracy, and abuse of power. Rita, unable to face the consequences of her husband's crimes, disappeared without a trace, never to be seen again. Some believed she fled the country, while others whispered that she met a fate as cruel as the one her husband had inflicted upon Maria. With both his parents gone, Ryan was left alone. His once privileged life turned to nothing in an instant. All his family's wealth was auctioned by the government. He became homeless. Despite all the suffering Biko had caused, David and Emmy did something unexpected. They took in Ryan. He was raised as one of their own, alongside Jeff, in the same house where Maria's laughter once rang. The family was also blessed with a new modern home. Ryan, humbled by tragedy, grew into a different man than his father. He carried the weight of his family's sins, yet in David's home, he learned true kindness, the kind his wealth had never given him. In the hearts of those who loved her, justice had been served, but the scars remained, forever reminding Greenfield of the terrible cost of power. Thank you for watching. Like, share, and subscribe.